Ik ben 7 dagen geleden begonnen met het leren van Nederlands. In deze video vertel ik jullie hoe het gaat, wat ik tot nu toe heb gedaan en wat mijn doelen zijn voor de komende week. Blijf kijken. Hi there, what's up everyone? So as you know, I recently started learning my 10th language, Dutch, and I'm gonna try to reach a B2 level in just 3 months. So as usual with these types of challenges, I'll make an update every week where I'll tell you how things are going, what I've done, and what my plans are. So let me start this first update by telling you what I've been doing in the last 7 days. So I would say that I spent between 70 and 80% of the time I had available for learning Dutch listening to videos of the YouTube channel Dutchies to Be. Now, this channel is aimed at people who are learning this language, and since I found it to be very good, I just started watching videos aimed at people who are just starting out with Dutch. So I would watch the videos in Dutch with subtitles, and whenever I didn't know a word, I would as usually translate it and add it to my Anki deck. And something else I would do was to repeat the sentences after she said them.
Goed voornemen dat je meer Nederlands wilt leren.
Goed voornemen dat je meer Nederlands wilt leren. Then something else I did at the very beginning was to try to understand the pronunciation rules in this language. It is strongly encouraged to do this at the very beginning when you're just starting out with a language, because otherwise if you leave it for later on, you might get used to certain bad habits with the pronunciation, which might be a little bit difficult to get rid of afterwards. So something else I did during this first week was to try to get used to nouns that belong to different families. For instance, I tried to learn the numbers in Dutch, the months, the days of the week, the most important pieces of clothing, and some of the most relevant types of food. And towards the end of the week, I had a look at the most important verbs in Dutch and at the present tense. Something else I did was to prepare a short introduction of myself with the help of Google Translate, which is the message I would send around to the different ITALKI teachers that I have reached out to in the last days in order to let them know who I am before the classes that we are gonna have in the upcoming days. I also practiced this introduction a little bit, so I would write it on Google Translate and then practice like sentence by sentence. So I would repeat the sentence after Google Translate said it in Dutch.
Ik ben 27 jaar oud en ik zoek een leraar Nederlands.
Ik ben 27 jaar oud en ik zoek een leraar Nederlands. I mean, I guess this is not ideal because Google Translate's pronunciation is probably not perfect, but I still believe it's better doing this exercise, even though I'm not gonna get the pronunciation perfect, than not practicing at all. By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you're enjoying this video, could you give it a like? I would appreciate it, thanks. Finally, something else I did during this week was to learn a song in Dutch, which is called Het is een nacht by Guus Meeuwis and Vagant. Het is een nacht die je normaal alleen in Philip ziet. Het is een nacht die wordt bezongen in het mooiste lied. Alright, let me now tell you about what I've achieved after learning this language for 7 days. My most important achievement is that I went from knowing nothing about the language, from not being able to understand barely anything, to now being capable of understanding most of it if the video is aimed at people who have a sort of B1 level. As long as I've turned the subtitles on, so if I don't have them, it becomes a little bit trickier. I have to work on that, to be honest. But hey, not bad after 1 week. After all, I can understand basic Dutch now. Something else I've achieved is to get used to the pronunciation, to understand how it works. So now I believe that if I have to read text in Dutch, I would be able to get most of the pronunciation right. And now let me tell you something I've noticed in the last few days, which is that Dutch is going to be a little bit more difficult than what I expected at the beginning. So this confirms something I already said in my last video, which is that reaching a B2 level in this language in just 3 months is going to be a rather difficult goal. I now believe that my chances of reaching this goal are even lower than what I thought last week. But hey, I just started the challenge and I'll try to do my best anyway. Alright, finally let's move on to the goals that I have for the upcoming week. The first and most important goal is to select a teacher on ITALKI. So I already booked lessons with 3 different tutors and I hope some of them convinces me, or at least that I don't have to go through 7 or 8 tutors before finding the ideal one, which is what happened when I learned Portuguese. So something else I have to do in the next few days is to diversify my input sources. So as I said in my last video, a mistake I've made quite often is to just rely on 1 or 2 YouTube channels or podcasts when learning a foreign language. And as I said at the beginning of this video, something I've been doing very often in the last few days is to watch videos from the channel Dutch is to Be, which, hey, is an excellent YouTube channel, but I still have to diversify in order to get used to different voices and different accents and to different pieces of vocabulary. So in the upcoming days, I'll make the active effort of looking for new YouTube channels in Dutch. Finally, my last goal for the upcoming week is to learn another song in Dutch. I don't know which one yet, but I'll have a look at my playlist and choose one I happen to like. Dat was het voor vandaag. Abonneer je op mijn kanaal om op de hoogte te blijven. Ik zie jullie dan tot snel in mijn volgende video.